Hey everybody. Today I want to talk about angelfish, and I don't necessarily want to talk about how much I love angelfish and sing the praises of angelfish. I've done that in other videos, and I'm sure I will be doing that again in the past. In today's video, I want to talk specifically about the fact that I think angelfish are great beginner fish, and I think it gets overlooked on a lot of lists of what are good beginner fish. In fact, before I sat down to shoot this video, I did a quick search on beginner fish, and I looked at 4 or 5 different lists on various sites, and only one of them, props to Aquarium Co-op, only one of them, the Aquarium Co-op list, had angelfish on their list of what are considered to be good beginner fish. And I don't know why they don't get considered to be good beginner fish. They're really easy to take care of. The idea that they're like South American fish and they're really sensitive to water conditions or whatever, that may be true for some wild caught high dollar Altums or something like that, but the fish you buy at your local pet store have been bred in captivity for so many countless generations now that they're just not sensitive fish like that. The angelfish is one of the hardier fish you will find at your local aquarium store. In fact, I see neon tetras listed on this beginner fish list almost all the time. Neon tetras are almost always on there. And I have far more trouble with neon tetras than I've ever had with angelfish. I think they're more sensitive to water conditions than the angelfish are. So caring for them is not an issue. Water sensitivity, water parameters, that's not really an issue either. I wouldn't necessarily put them in very hard water, but they can tolerate, you know, significantly hard water, all the way down to very soft acidic water, and everything in between. And if you acclimate them gently, you can probably get them into a lot harder water and higher pH than you might think of when you think of like a South American type fish. I know they're cichlids, but as far as cichlids go, they're way down on the bottom end of the scale as far as aggressiveness. So not really an issue there unless you get multiple fish in the tank. And so I could see where that might be getting into you got to kind of know what you're doing a little bit. You couldn't just buy 4 or 5 angelfish and slap them in a tank and expect there not to be issues at some point down the road. But again, you can say that about a lot of fish that get listed as beginner fish, and there are other fish that get listed as beginner fish that have their own sets of problems that the beginner might not know about. Now, the other aspect of beginner fish that you might be thinking about, you might be conflating the word beginner with the idea that they'd have a small tank. I know that that's a common understanding. If you're a beginner, then you have a 10-gallon tank, but if you've been doing it for a while, then you've moved up and you have these larger tanks. That's just not true. That's not true at all. My 29-gallon over there, which is plenty big enough, it's had many angelfish in it over the years, that was one of the first tanks I bought. 55 gallons are very common beginner tank. The 37-gallon bow fronts are very common beginner size tank. So it's not the size of the tank that really matters when it comes to whether you're a beginner or not. It's just how much experience do you have in keeping fish. If the first tank you bought is a 55, then you can certainly keep angelfish without any problem. And not having a lot of experience in keeping fish, you won't really have a lot of trouble keeping angelfish. They're not complicated, difficult fish to keep. The other thing I will say about them is you get a lot of bang for your buck. You'll notice this angelfish here. I have some other angelfish. I have another very long-finned angelfish over in my gourami tank that is just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. I think the difference between that one and this one is the fins on this one seem a little more outright, I guess. The ones on the fish over here that we've been looking at are a little bit on the droopy, and it kind of hangs down in the water. It looks almost like a betta fish. My smoky looking one in my 29 over there, that's another fish that's just absolutely gorgeous and stunning. All of these fish are fish that I've got for less than, I'll say, $8. I don't know exactly what I've paid for them, but I know the medium-sized mixed veils or assorted angelfish at the PetSmart are all $8.99 or less, or $7.99 or less, and then the small ones are even cheaper than that. And that's where I get the majority of my angelfish. I do have one angelfish that we're not going to be able to see in this video. He kind of stays in the back of the tank, and it's sort of a dark fish. Anyway, it's my German blue. I've had it for years and years and years now. That was an expensive angelfish. My longtime viewers will remember I've had some other expensive angelfish over the years, and that's fine. You can get really awesome expensive angelfish, but at the same time, the beginner can go out and spend $5 or $6 at their local pet store and get something that looks like that, or one of these other angelfish that we've been looking at that are just $5 or $6 fish and are just easy to care for. They really are. It's just why they're not considered good beginner fish is beyond me. They're absolutely gorgeous. But here's the real deal. Here's why they are great beginner fish. They're awesome fish. When you look in your aquarium and you see that fish, it gives you such a sense of satisfaction. It makes you feel like a fish keeper. It makes you feel like you know what you're doing. And I'm not saying this sarcastically in any way. That's a good thing. You want to have a good, positive experience early on. If you got into fish keeping and it was all fiddly and difficult and you had fish that were dying, or you could only keep little guppies until you felt like you knew what you were doing, that would turn a lot of people away. Having that good, positive experience when you first get into the hobby, and especially if you've got something, pow, right there in your tank that just looks amazing, and it's, the difference between a discus and an angelfish, to the uninitiated, the angelfish is probably going to look more impressive. If you know about a discus and what a discus is and all that kind of stuff, you might find that more impressive. But for somebody that's just seeing fish and they don't know what kind of fish you're keeping, they're just seeing fish, an angelfish like that or one of these other fish can be a lot more impressive than a simple round discus that has pretty colors on it. And again, I know there's a lot of people out there probably losing their minds right now, but to somebody that doesn't know about fish, and so if you've got angelfish in your tank and you're the beginner and your neighbors come over or your relatives come over for the holidays, your boss comes by the house to drop off some paperwork or something, and they see your aquarium and they see that swimming around in there or just hanging majestically and gorgeous in the water column, wow, they're going to think you're some master fish keeper or whatever. And again, I'm not saying this in some kind of sarcastic way. I'm not saying it in the sense that you should pretend that you've got more experience than you do or anything. But it gives you that sense of satisfaction. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, and it gives you something that makes the hobby just awesome. And why would you not want to have something like that as your first fish or one of your earlier fish in the hobby? That's a fantastic way to start the hobby. If you take somebody fishing for the first time or anything, you take them out doing their first thing for the first time, you want to make sure they have a good time. If they fall in the mud first thing in the morning and they're all wet and cold and you don't catch anything and they're never going to go back. They're never going to do that again. That was not fun. And it's the same with fish keeping. If you've got this aquarium that it's difficult and you're struggling and you're stressed and you're fighting with it, and you should not have to fight with your aquarium. You shouldn't have to struggle to keep fish alive. And getting something that looks as majestic as that, but is easy to care for, and as long as you got the right size tank, and you have to understand a little bit of, how many you can keep in a tank, and when they mature, they're going to be aggressive towards each other or pair off. But again, you need to know that kind of stuff about a lot of beginner fish, and so I don't see why that would disqualify angelfish from being in the beginner fish quality at all, or beginner fish category rather, at all. Again, I can't say enough about how much I just love angelfish. I will end with saying that I have a friend that he's one of those people that no matter what it is, if everybody likes it, then he's just going to not like it. Doesn't matter whether it's good or bad or not. If it's just popular and everybody likes it, he's not going to. But there's a lot of things out there, there's a lot of things out there. First of all, he's got a valid point about just because something's popular doesn't mean it's good. But there are a lot of things out there that are popular because they're good. And angelfish are one of those fish that are just ubiquitous. Every doctor's office you go into, like everywhere, every time you see like a fish silhouette that wants to make it clear that there's fish over here, it's almost always that angelfish silhouette. The doctor's office has the angelfish in it. Everybody has an angelfish in it. When you want that big, stunning fish to really pop and stand out, it's the angelfish. So if you're the kind of person that's just like, an angelfish again, like everybody has angelfish, they're so common, then you're really missing out and you're really selling yourself short. I don't care if everybody in the world has an angelfish. That doesn't stop me from knowing how amazing they are. They're just incredible angelfish, and I think they're so popular because they're so amazing. They're popular not because they're the fad. They're popular because they're incredible fish that are easy to care for, and you get that kind of bang for your buck. I paid $5 for that fish, and I've had it for years. They'll live 10 years in your tank. You just can't go wrong with angelfish as your beginner type fish. So that's me and my 2 cents on why I think angelfish are good beginner fish. If you disagree with me or agree, whatever, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your experiences. Do you have angelfish? Did you keep them early on? Do you remember having them when you were a kid? Let me know. That's what the comment section's for. I'd be love to hear from you. So make sure you're subscribed. I do have memberships available now. I will be doing live streaming more frequently, so you want to make sure you're subscribed for that. And of course, I always appreciate any of the super thanks I get. So thanks for watching. See you real soon in the next one.